Hey folks, this is Vince with Ads Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Morels. It's a two-player game that's appropriate for ages 10 and up, and the average play time is about 30 minutes. The idea of this game is pretty simple. Collect mushrooms, cook mushrooms, and earn victory points. And the player with the most victory points at the end of the game will win. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at the components and see how the game is played. Okay, so here's a quick look at the components and game setup. You've got two decks. You've got a larger day deck and a smaller night deck. You're going to shuffle each deck separately, and then each player is going to receive 3 cards from the day deck to form their starting hand. They also receive one of these pan tokens and one of these reference cards. 8 cards are dealt face up from the day deck to form a line like this. This is known as the path. And the 2 cards on the far right are at the player's feet. That's where the players currently are. They will always be over here. And the cards will just simply shift this way to sort of represent that the players are walking along this path. And then the empty space behind here is known as the decay. Those are the cards that are left behind that aren't being picked up as players are walking along this path. There are also some stick tokens here. There's more in the box. I just didn't bother putting them out. And here's a quick look at the box insert for those of you that are curious. Functions very well. Okay, so the game is played over a series of turns, and here's a quick look at what you can do on your turn. You can choose exactly one of the following actions. You can take 1 card from the forest, take all the cards in the decay, cook 3 or more like mushrooms, sell 2 or more like mushrooms, or play down an empty pan. After your turn is over, you'll move the card closest to the decay into the decay, slide the forest toward the decay, and refill the forest from the day deck. Okay, so as far as the first action goes, take 1 card from the forest. That's pretty self-explanatory. Take 1 card from this row of cards here. Players do have a hand limit, though. They cannot perform this action if they are at their hand limit. The default hand limit is 8. However, for every basket that you have, you increase your hand limit by 2. So if you have 1 basket in front of you, your default hand limit goes from 8 to 10. If you can perform this action, you'll take 1 card. The first 2 are free. Those are the ones at your feet. But every one beyond that will cost sticks. The first one costs 1. The second one costs 2. The next one costs 3, and so on. They get more expensive the further along the path they are. If you happen to collect a basket, which is this card here, you immediately put in front of you. If you collect a moon, M-O-O-N, that spells moon. It's a Stephen King reference. If you collect one of those, you'll discard it immediately and add one of these night cards to your hand. The second action a player could do on their turn is take all the cards in the decay. Again, that's this area over here. There's nothing in it right now, but there will be later on in the game. At the end of a player's turn, just to give you a heads up, this whole path will shift to the right, and any card on the end will fall into the decay. Basically, that's what's behind players at that point in time. And so as long as their hand limit is not exceeded, they can collect all of the cards in the decay at no cost. The third thing a player could do on their turn is cook 3 or more like mushrooms. And when you cook mushrooms, you earn victory points for the end of the game. You don't earn sticks. That's the next one, which I'll get to. But what you're going to do is you're going to, first of all, make sure that you have a pan available. A pan can either be in front of you via a token or a card, or have a card in your hand. But you're going to lay down the pan, and then you'll lay down a set of 3 of more like mushrooms on top of it. If you happen to have 4 of the same mushroom, you can play butter along with it for some extra victory points. If you happen to have 5 of the same mushroom on top of that pan, you can play apple cider on it, and you'll get 3 points or 5 points, respectively, depending on which one you put down. And these will act as victory points for the end of the game. Once a pan is used, it can no longer be used for anything else. So if you want to cook something else, you have to get another pan from somewhere else. The fourth thing a player could do on their turn is sell 2 or more like mushrooms. Same thing with cooking, except you don't actually need a pan for it. You're just going to take 2 or more of the same mushroom, and then you'll get sticks after discarding them. Basically what you're going to do is each card has a little chart in the upper left-hand corner here. and you'll see a pan symbol. That's how many victory points that this card is worth at the end of the game. And then you've got a stick icon and a value under. That's how many sticks that you earn for this card. So if you lay down 2 of this card, for example, and sell it, you'll get 2 for this one and 2 for the other one. So you'll get a total of 4 sticks that you can use to buy cards that are further along the path. The last thing a player could do on their turn is play down an empty pan. Basically, if you have a pan in your hand, you can play the card onto the table. That way you can make way for any future cooking that you might do. Once you take an action, let's just say I went ahead and, I don't know, added this card to my hand for free. What will happen is the card closest to the decay will move into the decay like that. And then the rest of the cards will slide down like so. And then what you'll do is you'll refill this path with 8 cards. 1, 2. And then the next player will take their turn. Now, if at any point, when you go to add a card to the decay and there's already 4 cards there, you discard those 4 cards and then add that new one to the decay so that there's 1 sitting there. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Players will continue taking turns until the forest is completely empty. At that point, players will take a look at all of the mushrooms that they've cooked in front of them, add up their values, remembering to give themselves 2 times the number of points that they'd get for the night cards, because the night cards are worth double. And then the player with the most points at the end of the game will win. So there you have it, a very brief look at Morels. It's important to stress that I did not cover all of the rules found in the manual. This was just to give you a general overview so that you could see how the game was played. For example, there is a Destroying Angels card that will make you really sick and your hand limit will suffer as a result. There's more to it than that, but I think you get the gist of it. What did I think? Well, this is a really neat set collecting game. I like the fact that the cards are twofold. One way to score victory points in this game is to cook your mushrooms. But you can also sell the mushrooms instead of earning victory points to sort of expand your options later down the line. Like, you could do nothing but cook mushrooms, assuming you have the pans for them. Like, you could go that route and just cook mushrooms, cook mushrooms, cook mushrooms, so as long as you have the pans. But at the same time, if you sell mushrooms, then you'll get the sticks you might need to buy the cards that are further along the path. And, collecting the sticks to do that is great because you can pick and choose which cards you want to get a really big set going. So, limiting yourself to the first 2 cards just by cooking, and not getting any sticks, that'll limit your card choices. So you sort of have to make a decision. Do I want to cook a lot? Do I want to, go and sell and get a lot of sticks so I can increase my options? Or do I want a healthy mix of the 2? So there's a little bit of strategy in this game that really, I really like it. I find that mechanic really cool. And it's very simple to play, too. The Destroying Angel can get a little confusing, so I recommend reading through that a few times in the manual. But other than that, the game is fantastic. I do like the whole butter and apple cider edition, that sort of encourages you to put down 4 or 5 cards so that you can put down the butter or the cider with it respectively and earn extra points. So, yeah, I mean, it's simple to play, but there's still a lot of options here in terms of, strategic gameplay. So, Morels, if you guys want to see my written review, you can. www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.